Go into workshop. We have West Central Sanitation and Gerald Urban here. So you guys have kind of a proposal, not really a proposal, but the pricing in front of you. And if you guys want to explain kind of the rest of the council, I guess.
I was going to give kind of an introduction.
Oh, yeah.
The Solid Waste Commission met with Jerry Urban and West Central Sanitation, Don and Taylor, right? Taylor Williamson on April 10th, and we also met today, May 12th, to discuss the purchase of Medelia Sanitation. The Urbans are retiring and selling the business to West Central Sanitation. Thank you for all you've done over the years. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And so attached in front of you tonight is West Central's proposal, and they would like to discuss their business and introduce themselves to everybody. So I'll hand it over to you.
Jill, did you want to say anything first, or should you?
Go ahead.
Okay. Is it customary to just sit here, or do I need to?
Yeah, you're fine right there. I was just going to point out that if you guys look, the three that weren't in the meeting, the total that they're paying right now before bags is, well, will be after June 1st.
Yep.
Yep.
Is $12.19. So if you look at that and then the monthly rate of the cards, I feel there's just savings. But
But $12.19 is only your tipping and your refuse fee.
that's not including
That's not
bags.
including your tags or
Yes.
your bags or your stickers. That's your base fee.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Go ahead, Don.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, Don Williamson, West Central Sanitation. I've been at this not quite as long as Gerald. This is my 46th year. My son Taylor has been around the business since he was born, I guess. But so we're from the Wilmer area. That's my hometown, and that's where our headquarters is. But about 12 years ago, we came down to the southern part of the state with the city of Mankato and North Mankato. Invited us to come. They were going through quite a comprehensive change in vendors, and they asked us to come to the table. And we've been in the Mankato, North Mankato area ever since. Since that time, we've grown in the area to the city of St. Peter, Waterville, Elysian, and St. James. And so when Gerald and family were deciding to retire, it was we feel fortunate that Gerald, we were able to make a connection and talk about this. And we're privately held. My family is the owner of West Central Sanitation, and I started like Gerald in with one truck a long time ago. But what we're trying to do is Gerald and we have discussed and agreed upon finishing the closure of our deal, but it's based upon being able to work an agreement with the city of Medelia going forward, because Medelia is in Gerald's heart, and it's going to be in ours too, because we want to take care of your community like Gerald did. And so part of what is envisioned in that is we'd like to close around May 30th or 31st is what we're shooting for. We've been working on it for about 3-4 months. And we want to be able to work to retain as many employees as possible. We're going to buy 3 parcels of Gerald's real estate. If everything goes through and the city council, there's a consensus that we would be able to join into an agreement to continue to serve the city, then we would buy the business and buy 3 real estate parcels there so we can still serve the city of Medelia. And the hope is that we can close around the end of May. And then while we were in our first meeting in April was when the idea, the thought, the request came, can we do carts for refuse, for trash? And our company's been doing carts since the late 80s, so yeah, we do a lot of carts, and we're willing to bring back that option to the committee meeting that met today and go over that pricing and what would that look like for the city of Medelia. And when it comes to the number side of it, Taylor spent a little more time on that than I did, as prepared to address any questions if you have any on how the rates might look. And Christine did address appropriately. She said that $12 is the base fee that you pay without bags and stickers. If people would get the cards, if the city would move toward cards, then people would not have to buy the colored bags anymore. They would not have to buy stickers. The only time they would potentially need a sticker, because the bags would no longer be on sale if the city went that way. And then if the only time they would need a sticker would be if they wanted the opportunity to put out extra bags of trash because they did a bunch of cleaning and their cart was stuffed totally full and they wanted to go down to the city hall and pick up a sticker, put on an extra bag to get picked up during the normal regular scheduled pickup. And so I'll be quiet with that and we'll be glad to address any of your questions that you have.
As somebody that rents a dumpster and are those pricings gonna stay similar? Or, and then, like, as of now, most people that I know that rent dumpsters, they basically just, it isn't a scheduled dumping, it's, you know, a request for empty.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys are gonna operate in a similar manner to that or not.
So Andy, can I ask this question? Is there a reason why we go with a dumpster? I mean, if you look at some of these things, would like a 95 gallon cart be big enough?
Yeah, it would, you know, it would depend.
Because,
My main reason for it was because of not wanting to purchase bags.
yeah, totally.
That's
So if
Why
you-
I rent a dumpster as well, because I hate
Right, so
Wednesday morning not having a bag.
So, I mean, would you guys change? Because that was another thing.
potentially, yeah, but
I would.
Would there be, I mean, I'd like to see less dumpsters. I mean, they're kind of
no, but
a very
I know there's.
nice sighted thing.
Right.
And we kind of talked about that in the meeting a little bit, Andy, where, you know, looking at the limiting of some of the dumpsters, and then when we talked to Don and Taylor, you know, in certain cases, would you get two, you know, they would give you a discounted rate on a second 95, or, you know, comparable, a little more mobile. All the commercial places, they would all be direct dumpster type of thing, with the company. More accessibility, I think, with the way they're gonna pick up
Yeah,
type of thing with the cans, I think it makes
I think
sense.
there's a lot of residential customers that will be very open to it.
Yeah.
Because that's probably why they rented the dumpster in the first place, is to work around the bags, so.
So, Mr. Mayor and Councilor, to directly answer your question, we would continue to do just as Gerald has done. And then unless the council would try to, you know, direct people more toward the utilization of carts.
Sure.
Then it's just time you wanted to change, we'd make that easy for you.
I got two questions on that, just to make this, the first part is apples to apples. So, when I'm looking at what we're paying now for the bag sales, if we didn't change a thing, and when you all take over, do it exactly how we're doing it today, what's the cost difference between what's paying today is what we paid in the future if we just kept doing bags?
So if you kept doing bags, there's no change. With the cart proposal, and on page 3, which is kind of the most bland of the 3, that is showing that with the cart proposal, we're essentially saving the community some money is what the goal is. Now, the details, the devil's in the details of that, we were talking with the Solid Waste Commission, how, you know, people buy bags now, that's not running through the city, because we won't, you know, pay the city for bags and pay vendors. Vendors also charge a commission, which could vary. So that savings is in large part from, cutting out commission, you know what I mean? And so,
Well, I'm trying to be totally, I guess what I'm wondering is just, if somebody asks me, you know, what's gonna happen, right now, it'll be seamless. If as a city, we decided to go forward with carts, we evolve that word, if we still decide to go that way, then one would be something the entire city would do, correct?
Yes.
So if bags would be gone, we would use carts.
yes, sir.
Okay, so that would be kind of a step two. Okay, thank you.
And the goal was, and the way we laid it out would be that it would cost no more, in fact, hopefully less globally. In other words, for the whole community, there should be less dollars coming out of the community for that trash service than there was with bags.
Because you're saying, if you look at it, even if you're putting out, and we talked about it earlier, if you only put out 2 bags a month, let's say, you're still paying, you're only gonna pay an extra $2
I was just
about a month to have a
I was gonna say, because right now you're saying the average monthly cost for a citizen is $19.60, and that's with the tags or the bag sales or whatever. Where if you go with the smallest container, it's 35 gallons, and that's $17 flat.
Right.
So you're saving $2.
On the average,
Yes, because, yeah, you
On average, based on your-
Somebody has 2 cards down the road, we're going to pay more than that.
Yes.
From a contract length standpoint, right now, there's a contract in place that's set to expire
26.
Yeah,
26.
but Jerry gave us his appropriate notification to the Solid Waste Commission.
Correct, but the length of that previous contract was 5 years, so this would basically be renewing a year earlier.
And you had, no, I'm not gonna quote, but you had said you would try to freeze these prices for 3 years. Unless Ponderosa
Ponderosa.
had an increase.
And if they would change things drastically for some reason, or
Yeah.
if there would be a tax that the state passes, we already got taxes, not of them, but so that would change,
I mean, stuff you can't control.
government imposed things, because Ponderosa is owned by Brewer County.
Right.
Ponderosa landfill is owned by Brewer.
But that wouldn't necessarily be a change to the actual cart fee or anything else, it'd just be an additional fee that would be added on as
If I may.
billing probably, or?
So if it remained bags, you would do exactly what Gerald did right now, which is, you got two separate rates, one of them's the tipping fee per month paid by the city. If this vote changed and we were still under a bag system, exactly as it is now, that tipping fee would change.
Just changes.
Gerald requested for tonight. But under carts, we would come and we'd say, the disposal went up this, and disposal is equivalent to 30% of the total rate. So 30% of the cart rate would change by like 10%, whatever that Ponderosa change is. It's very minimal, but it has to be included in there somehow.
So what you're saying is no matter whether you went with carts or the bags, if the Ponderosa or the government increases its fees or whatever,
Yeah, the
those might
money's
be,
going.
yeah, it's going up.
We want to come before the council, tell you what it is, show you what it is, and then just work with it, work through it with you.
The tipping fee is the variable rate that's go up and down based on regulation and everything.
Or whatever they charge.
So then my other question would be, there would be no like upfront fee for changing to cards? It would just be reflected in the monthly
The rate.
charge rate? I think that was one of the questions that was always presented, even when we proposed Jerry going to, that card system or bin system as the upfront cost of the purchase of all those cards. Well, if you guys are already doing that, type of management in other places, maybe you have a better idea.
And part of the reason for asking for a 5-year agreement is because of
To pay for that.
purchase of Gerald goodwill, you might say, for his lifetime of serving the city well, we want to do the same. And then the part expense going forward, he said, just make sure we get a few years of breathing room.
Right.
Because there is certainly a cost to us to deploy them, but we're not charging the city anything for it.
And then as far as schedule, you would pick up dates and everything would remain pretty much the same? Or are you thinking you're gonna have changes to that?
We talked logistics a little bit in the solid waste meeting, and one of them was just, I did ask if we go to carts, is there an option to pick one day a week and have the whole town on one day? And for the people present at that time, they sound like there might be an option for that. I don't have a date in mind right now or anything like that.
We would come back to you, the committee, solid waste committee, and request that and then back to the council
Sure.
at a later date.
That way they can make it more efficient as they're passing through, St. James one day and so they have an opportunity to keep our costs down if they can
No, that makes
compare it on
sense.
another community.
I can just say that I lived in Mankato for 5 years. They missed my bin once and they picked it up at noon after I called. So they do a great job. I've been very happy with the service that I've been provided in Mankato. Not that I'm a walking billboard for you guys, it's that, never talking about waste management now. But yeah, I trusted these guys with doing what they said they're gonna do.
And that's really been kind of
Yeah, no, everybody I've
reached
talked to about them.
Is it good
Same people from St. James, they love them. You guys, the conversations we have, I'm excited to move forward if the council approves, so.
Well, we're human, we make mistakes, but I can tell you what, if you tell us we made a mistake, we'll fix it. That's what we promise you, we'll do.
And I know I've heard people complaining, the same thing I have complained is Wednesday morning, you forget your trash bag and you have to go and, so having a bin, I think, would be beneficial. So,
So at this time, if nobody else has any other
You guys,
questions.
Jim? You guys got it?
I have a selfish question, but how about rural county, Whatcom County and Blue Earth County pickups that have been in place? Is that still planned to be?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right. I just kind of worried about gonna have to call my wife, so that's good.
We might have eventually tried to just, it sounds like a lot of it's on demand right now, you call up for service. We might try and just simply schedule it, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And we'll work through that later.
That was my next question, is where you're gonna have a contact person in place for that, or just something, which makes sense. I'm sure you'll send a letter, just so we.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So I guess the last question would be, is the process of going to carts, are you gonna want public feedback on that, or is that something where the council can just make that decision unilaterally, or what?
I guess I'm just excited about the cart.
I think everybody in this room probably is, but I just don't know.
I guess, you know, after having a number of people come in here from the public asking the council for those, I guess we can put it out there and let the
Well, I'm
community.
just, I'd be all for voting for it tonight if it doesn't need to go to public hearing or anything like that.
It doesn't need to go to public hearing, but I think you best have some public forum at the next meeting in light of the fact that you're gonna most likely agree to this contract extension tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, the biggest thing tonight would be to, it'll be on the agenda to agree to, working with West Central and the 5-year agreement.
And then the cart decision could be made at a later meeting.
We can do a public forum on the 27th, when we have to bring the contract back for approval before they do the closing. We can ask the public to come in here and voice whatever.
What you wanna do
I'm
is.
saying you don't
How about we go with-
necessarily have to, you can just go that way.
Yeah, we
It's up to you,
we
Ty.
can just go with the carts.
Yeah.
I would advise you to go with the carts.
So we're going with carts.
I think it just, yeah, I mean, it's simplified that.
I just want to make sure
It gives them the opportunity
I don't think
to do,
anybody's gonna complain about it.
trash pickup all in one day. It just
well, I think
makes.
it's a lot easier on your employees as well, correct? Instead of having to do what Harold has done for how many years of getting off and throwing it in.
I want to stand corrected after 25 years doing this job. There will be at least one person that will complain about the cars, but everybody else will complain.
I just want to say that we
What's
have
that?
some other people that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Buying the business. I thought these folks were a lot better fit because they were gonna keep the business in town. The other ones were gonna take all the equipment out of town. They show up once or twice a week and not give the same level of service that I have given over the last years. That's one reason why I like West Central.
Well, I'd agree with the meetings that we've had.
Yeah.
Down in Tyler, I mean, if there's a problem with things, we're gonna have some bumps and bruises along the way until we get things straightened out, but it's a matter of a phone call and things will be resolved, so that's a,
Just growing pains is all it is.
Kathy, you had something?
My public comment is that we have a lot of feral cats in there, but I can't put my
Yeah.
bag out until the morning because, yeah.
It's got a hole in the side of it.
So I think there's a lot of people that would, I can't see very many people.
Yeah, no, I think we.
but that ties into our, some of our ordinances with keeping things cleaned up, our public nuisance ordinance and everything else, it just makes things a little more efficient, keeps things cleaned up, it's not as much trash going around hopefully in the future.
I agree.
You know, I would like to say on the record though, that the fact that you took the time to research who's going to be you next really means a lot. It shows how much you've always cared about this community. Because we've had problems with others that have done other types of things like that in this town. And you just helped solve a huge problem because you took the time to do it. That really means a lot, so thank you.
I didn't quite understand what you said.
I'm basically saying thank you for taking the time to research who you really wanted to sell to.
Well, I would think that I think the city would be willing to work with me all these years and continue to operate my business. We pretty well worked hand in hand and never really had any real issues. And I foresee that happening in the future with Central.
When I found out that you were selling, I was a little concerned at first, because how are we gonna do you next generation, basically? And whatever fears I had had been allayed, and the fact that it has your seal approval, that's all I needed.
I don't know what he said. Yeah, I don't hear business, please.
It was good, whatever he
I try like to treat people like I would like to be treated. That was always my philosophy. Treat someone the way you would like to be treated.
And that is noticed.
Yeah.
So then tonight, we'll have an additional number 7 on the agenda to go into agreement with West Central, a 5-year agreement. Correct?
Yeah, I checked it out, so you can read from there if you want to. That's basically what it was.
Yeah.
Proposing a 5-year agreement.
Are we gonna add the bins on there right away and just get it done with, or?
Well,
That's gotta be part of the
it
agreement.
does say West Central Sanitation is proposing a 5-year agreement that includes the option of cards for service at each house.
And I think it's all mapped out, so and there's still some drafting of things that need to be done, so we can get to that at
Yep.
the 27th meeting.
Mr. Mayor and Councilman, that to address the timing of it a little bit, because Christine has the same question with timeline. And part of it is, to get this step done, we need to finish with Gerald by the end of the month. And in the process, we'll get the contract language up to date before your May 27th meeting. And then in the month of June, we will have an educational notification type letter, one from Gerald, probably one from us, or maybe the same one. And it's going to explain to the city and the residents what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, the rates. We'll have samples of cards in town. They already know what cards are from the recycling cards, but maybe we'll put some sizes of ours so they can see that's what this size is, this size, and this size. Maybe it's City Hall.
I say that's a good idea.
And then, give them some time. And in that mailer, there will be a postage paid response card mechanism, so it doesn't cost anybody anything. All they have to do is put their name and address on there, and what size they would like to go with. And then we're planning to have those cards delivered in the month of July, was it, what we said, in July, by the end of July, we would move to that system. The day change wouldn't happen right away, that would happen, I don't think it would happen the same.
We would probably talk about that, a day change. Ideally,
To one day,
ideally you do it all at once just to have everything done.
We'll see
But
if we can do
we'll
that.
talk about that, We haven't mentioned a day because I don't have one, so we'll talk about a day first and all that.
But I don't think that's gonna be a problem. That's just,
You will know about that before it happens, so yeah, that's not gonna, none of this will be a surprise to the city council, you'll know about it.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Gerald? Anything else?
Just want to note, we sit in the back there in regards to the update on the golf course. And that all the work that we did, and commend all of your staff in regards to, spending oodles of time down there and getting it all done. So, Wade, you want to kind of give an update to the council in regards to what all went on down there?
Sure. All departments and city staff went down there. James, John, TJ, Jesus, and I. And we aerated, sanded, fertilized all 11 greens of the course. We also split seeded, fertilized and sanded, and top dressed the greens that needed it, that were in bad shape. And we spot fixed a lot of places on the greens. Just instead of running a big seeding machine over it, we could do little spot fixes. That was accomplished. James has been watering it, so we're hoping in the next possibly 7 days we might see some grass sprout now. the tile irrigation line that goes all the way from number 5 all the way down to number 8 that cuts across in front of everything. That was all completely finished, seeded too, and it was being watered. So it was a little big task to try and get it going by our goal date of the Memorial Weekend. It's still not going to happen, but it's looking now that the beginning of July is, you don't want to say for sure thing ever, but we're very much in the right direction.
So please tell your staff that they're amazing. Any other questions, you guys? Because I didn't have an agenda for the workshop per se. You got other questions?
Wednesday? Putting stuff up on Main Street? Correct? Is it Wednesday you're putting planters up?
Yes.
You want to explain?
No.
See the look on his face.
Let's rewind on this. The business community on Main Street, went together and bought the pots with flowers to hang on the light poles down Main Street. But they needed, obviously, the light plant and the city's help in regards to making this all happen. So, today, I think TJ and everybody was up there. Were they putting the brackets on and everything?
No, they were moving signs.
Moving
We had a lot of
signs.
signs that, and flag.
Protect the flag over there.
Yeah, we don't want plants hanging over flags. The flags are the top, the light shines on them. So he had to move multiple signs up or down within MnDOT segments. But, yeah, they did that today, and then Wednesday, the light plant and us will go put the hangers and the flower pots.
So, and then the city, will water them with our park staff.
Who plants them?
But
Who plants them?
they're already been planted. They're been,
The business owner.
the business owner paid for the flowers. We did not pay for the flowers, they paid for them, but, we will be watering them.
How do we do that?
We were doing it in a golf cart with a tank on the back.
St. James does it, right?
All towns do it. Usually the park staff usually waters all the flowers down Main Street.
Anyway.
Other volunteers do this.
So,
A lot of volunteers.
question I've had from a couple people is, about Main Street coming up soon, is there gonna be like digging up in front of some of the stores that center main
Yes,
area?
I have a meeting with the business owners next week that we need to discuss, what's gonna happen with Centerpoint. The Centerpoint's gonna be doing some digging and stuff. And so, there's a business meeting next week with all of them.
Is it gonna be accessible for customers to get in and out?
They have to make it accessible.
I had a question about Centerpoint, maybe you don't know, it might be something worth asking at the meeting you're gonna have. As the first phase for the first year's work of Center is only to Main Street. Are they restoring the sidewalk on the north side back to concrete this year, or is it gonna be?
I
They're
do
still
not
working on
have
it,
that
starting
answer.
2024 stuff.
Same
I
thing.
do
with-
not have that answer.
Same thing with the streets, they tore out a few of the
Yeah.
equipment, they beat
Yeah, I
it
think
pretty
up by-
pretty aggressive, up by gyms, it's
Yeah.
ripped up pretty good.
We are still working on our communication with
And that
them.
tire that came out originally, they said everything would be restored and better, but the little door sticker they stuck on everybody's thing, so, I mean, they're supposed to, well, somebody needs to hold them to it.
But Jared from Michaels is not the restoration person.
No, that's-
So I'm
that's
trying to
fine.
nail down who I need to communicate. And so the one that's right by Cody's house, we nailed that one down, and so the county then worked on that one. And so I need to nail down who the restoration guy is for this whole project.
But the reason that I ask is a couple fold. One, because of the fact that if it's gravel sidewalk, then it has to be maintained over the winter to make sure it's not a trip hazard and whatnot.
The other, they come in and they put bituminous pavement like they did on his sidewalk.
And that might be fine as well, but the other
But then
question.
they need to come back and actually restore it back to what it previously was.
Right, and the other question is, whose cost is it to, for instance, if GM was gonna tear it out anyway, there's not necessarily a savings for either company there. It should be replaced back to concrete and then torn out again in all actuality.
I don't disagree with you, and I guess that goes back to the right-of-way permit, and that goes back to making sure you have all the contacts and that you follow through with all the steps of the process.
And, you know, on the south end, it might be fine because they're hopefully gonna re-pour that concrete
But
this
there,
year, but anything that goes over winter, I would say that it's necessary to get it back to concrete. Or bituminous hard surface is fine as long as, you know, able to be shoveled or blown, but that would be my major concern is just restoration work on the north side, knowing that work is not gonna be done in 2025.
no, but there are stuff on the south part too that go beyond our project.
Yeah,
And we-
well, those
and we
obviously would all have to
actually-
be restored.
Yeah,
back.
we actually talked about it at our last Thursday meeting, and so we need to find out who the restoration
Subcontractor.
is, so we can follow up with their process and what's gonna happen.
Sure.
And I'll just point out one, Shannon, Oregon's work house. That one does not come all the way down that road, and so somebody's gotta come back in, and that's a massive hole.
Yeah,
So there's quite a few different areas that need to be addressed.
no, that makes sense. Wait, the other question I have for you would be, well, number 6, are they still talking about setting that? Or they don't know for sure when it's gonna be set?
Just got a call this afternoon from Gunner and Adam. Trump's gonna be here tomorrow to set the pump and the motor. They were hoping that WW was also gonna be here possibly tomorrow.
Oh.
And they made some phone calls to coordinate. Trout takes priority. So Trout is gonna be here about 10 o'clock tomorrow. They'll be finished up Wednesday. Then the hope is WW will come in Thursday and do the wear coat on the parking lot.
Okay. Now, is the old well, they're gonna stay at that height, or are they gonna get it more towards ground level?
That's staying as, I can't do anything about that.
Okay.
Actually, there's been a request to paint it as a minion, so today, Celia has contacted the school's art teacher to see if we can look at possibly painting the thing to be something.
Okay.
As far as after install, SCADA hookup being operational, are you thinking mid-June or something like that? Hopefully?
That would be an optimistic date.
Okay. Well, you stay optimistic for now.
Anything else, you guys?
With that being said though, I did, tell our on-staff former siding people that it has to be done by July 4th, siding for well building. Right now it's weatherproof, but it doesn't look too appealing. So they know they have to have that thing sided finished off before the 4th of July weekend.
Was the final restoration bid out as sod for the boulevard area, or was it seed?
I'd have to go through the specs.
Yeah, I have to, I don't remember that.
We'll look
either.
into that.
Okay. What did they do in the last layer? It's,
That's what
Maybe
you were just.
Thursday, you said?
Oh.
That's the wear coat.
Oh, okay.
That'd be the last of there.
And was street department striping that, or was that part of the bid package too?
That's part of the bid package.
Okay.
I do not know when the maintenance comes.
Just keep open dates for that.
You know, if we've just got Charlie Brown in front of their library, why not we can have Minion, I guess.
Anything else?
I make a motion to close the workshop.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.